Okay, good morning, everybody. As we go to a beautiful sikh of the Rebbe in this week's Parsha, Parsha's Korach. Really a fascinating Parsha. And okay, the class starts off on page number 161 in your book. The book is coming to an end. We have another couple of more classes from this book, and we're going to soon start the next book. We are actually taking a little break after this class because I'm going to be out of the country the next 2 weeks.
Really?
So yes, so I'm not going to be here. What?
You're going to be out of
Yes.
You going to Israel?
I'm not going. I wish. I'm not
Going
going to
into
Israel.
witness protection.
So the next class is actually going to be in a new book that you should hopefully order and receive.
Okay.
Okay, so this week's Parsha starts off. The class is called "Different Yet Equal." We are all the same is tempting. It's also premature. We're all the same is tempting, but it's also premature. So we all know equality, it's still a struggle in the world, the concept of equality, and what is the meaning of equality? And we all know it's given to us by our Constitution, the American Constitution that gave equality to all humans. All people that live, Baruch Hashem, in this country, we are all equal to live in happiness and to prosper. But equality is something that was given to us by the Torah, by God, who created us. And we have that in the beginning of creation in Genesis, text number 1, on page 161, Genesis 1, chapter 1, verse 27, and God created man in his image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. The Eibishter created each and every single one of us. He made us all equal. Equal, but actually interesting in the verse, it says equal, he created us. Man and female, he created us. So in the verse itself, he says that there's a concept of a male and female. But nevertheless, they are equal. The question is, why do we have arguments? Why do we have constantly, we're all equal. Why can't we get along?
Good question.
What? Why can't the world get along? Always have difficulties. The truth is, why do we have difficulties with ourselves? We start off with ourselves. We're uncomfortable with ourselves. Why are we arguing even in ourselves? We learn Chassidus. And Chassidus says you have a Yetzer Tov, you have a Yetzer Hara. You have a positive, and we call it Yetzer Hara. We have a Nefesh Elokis, you have a Nefesh Abahamis, you have an animalistic soul and a godly soul. We're creating these differences. Arguments. Really, this is what the Torah talks about this week. Korach that comes to argue against Moshe Rabbeinu. The rebellion. The first time we find a rebellion really over here after the giving of the Torah between two people, between Korach and Moshe Rabbeinu. They have this argument. They have this rebellion. Korach comes and says, why are you making differences in the world? In Jews, we all came out of Mitzrayim, we all received the Torah. Why can't there be equality? The class starts off actually with the end of the story, because from the end of the story, it's interesting the way God responds, or actually Moshe Rabbeinu asks God to respond. And what is the response? So we find an interesting response of God in this situation. And that is, there were two groups. There were two in the group of Korach itself. If you look in the Pirkei Avos, it says, You shall not be like Korach va'adosai. Korach and his group.
Yeah.
So there's this Korach, and really Korach, Dasan, and Aviram. These are the three guys which the Torah mentions as Group A. And then there's Adosai. There's a full 250, which the Rashi says are the leaders of Sanhedrin. These are the 250 guys. And in the Torah, we see the difference in their punishment. Text number 2a, in this week's Parsha, chapter 16, verse 24, it says, "Go speak to the congregation, withdraw from the dwelling of Korach, Dasan, and Aviram." Itself in this group A, because Group A is going to happen. The earth beneath them opened its mouth and swallowed them, their houses, and all the men who were with Korach, and all the property. It swallowed them alive. That's Group A. Group A went down to the grave alive. Yeah. What happened to the other group, Group B? The verse says, a fire came out from God, consumed the 250 men who offered the incense. So the second group was punished by a fire coming out from God and consuming their souls. In essence, it was like the story is like the story of Nadav and Avihu.
Yeah.
And now a fire came out from God, consumed them, and they died.
Only the men.
Oh, no women in this whole story.
Women don't.
Oh, but seems like the women of Korach went also died. The women did. Let's go, yeah. The Korach, the women died, but not the 250 men. So by Korach and Dasan Aviram, the men, women, children, everything they owned, everything, the cattle, whatever was with them, was swallowed up.
So there are no more generations in.
Yeah.
No, because there is, because Bnei Korach did tshuva. The children of Korach did tshuva the last second, and they were saved. So Korach did. Korach, Shmuel Hanavi comes from Korach. We mentioned Shmuel Hanavi comes from Korach. Knew that he's going to have great children and grandchildren. Okay, so we see that the punishment was different from Korach, Group A, and Group B. So we see that the concept are different in them. So if you look in the Barbanel, it's a Barbanel, text number 3. Why did Moshe pray that for the earth to open up and swallow them and not to fight? Why did Moshe Rabbeinu separate these two groups? That Group A should be swallowed and Group B should have a different punishment. And why did he see fit the earth to open up and swallow them? What connection is there between the punishment and the sin? So we have to understand, and from the punishment, because the Eibishter gives a person, whatever happens to a person is really a reflection of the way he is in his life. That Mida Keneged Mida. The next verse says, Rabbeinu Bechaya says, text number 4. Rabbeinu Bechaya says, God matches the punishment to the crime. Korach wanted high position that he did not deserve, therefore he's punished being regulated to a position below the earth. You wanted to go high, you're going low. Whoa. Right? Korach was the prototype of those who arrogantly and inappropriately seek lofty positions. As the expression it says, those who go high fall very hard, right? Fall very low, right? Be careful. The higher you get, the harder you fall.
But the position is not really a position.
I don't know what happened below. It doesn't say what happened below. The punishment by fire is also measure for measure. The 250 who were also firstborns had offered incense, which is a privilege that they hadn't earned. So the fire, just like the sons of Aaron brought a fire that was not permitted, so too they were punished by a fire that came down from heaven. So the Eibishter punishes a person, like the expression in the Mishnah says, if somebody runs after honor, honor runs away from them. So that's the way it is. We run after A. Usually, if it's not a good thing, it brings about something that's almost the same happens to them in a negative way. Okay, so Korach, this is the way Rabbeinu Bechaya learns from we see what did Korach want to what happened to Korach, what these 250 men wanted to what happened to them in their lives. Beautiful, beautiful interpretation. Beautiful, nice interpretation. Rebbe and Chassidus wants to understand what did Korach, so we know Korach wanted to have greatness, but what did Korach really want? He had greatness. He was a family of Kahas. In the tribe of Levi, he was the top family of the tribe of Levi. He was given the honor to carry the Aron, the ark. So he was not like does in the family was given to schlep the walls. He was given a high honor. This was not and Korach was a wealthy man, and Korach was a smart man. What was he really looking for? What was his philosophy? What was his philosophy? Really, what was his philosophy? He had to have a philosophy. The Torah would not give up Parsha, the name, if it wasn't that Korach had a philosophy and a lesson to all of us. What means, why would we run after covet? Why would we run after to be higher? Really, we should all be under the radar. Under the radar, right? Why would a person want to be above the radar? What would be the purpose? What would be the philosophy of Korach? With power comes. You see in the world today, anybody who becomes a big knacker, everybody starts looking into everything you ever did, whatever you ever said. No. You sneezed wrong, and suddenly you're all over the news. So why would anybody want that? Why would anybody want it? I don't know why people want to go into public arena. It's just you become such a target for everything you said. So suddenly you said something 50 years ago, boom, now the whole world knows what you said or what you didn't say, etc., etc. It's like such a thing we have in the world. Everybody who's big, we try to rip down. And that's the way it is. We try to uplift in one hand, we try to uplift the downtrodden, and then we try to rip down anybody that is great. It doesn't make a difference. Great spiritually, great financially, great. We always try to find something schmutz. We try to find schmutz on everybody. It's like a midah. It's a certain kind of thing. The sickness, right? Jealousy. That's our own jealousy that we have in life, right? Okay, so let's try to understand Korach. Let's understand what Korach wanted to do. And he had an argument with Moshe Rabbeinu. Let's try to comprehend it. And by really comprehending this, the Rebbe up at Chassidus will go into the yin and the yang, the good and the bad response that happened. Okay, let's go to the Parsha. Let's go back to the Parsha. Moshe Rabbeinu and Korach have an argument because Moshe Rabbeinu didn't want to bring this whole thing to such an end. Moshe Rabbeinu was like his brother. He was running after peace. Moshe Rabbeinu, if you look in the Parsha itself, Moshe Rabbeinu tried to negotiate a deal, right? Because if you want to argue, let's argue it out, and then we'll come to a conclusion. It should be. There's nothing wrong to argue. The whole Gemara, the whole Jewish concept of arguing, but it's not an emotional argument. Let's keep an intellectual argument, and we'll come to a conclusion. But right. What was the fight? And in essence, they came to a point that they couldn't negotiate. There was a breaking in the deal, and so to say, in the negotiation, that there was not a place where these two philosophies would be able to meet together. So let's look at the Torah and the Gemara, right? So in text number 5, you have the Parsha itself. Korach took himself aside together with Das and Avir and Ben Pelas. These men were great together with 250 of the nation's reputable chieftains confronted Moshe. It surrounded Moshe and Aaron, and it said to them, "You have taken too much greatness to yourself. Okay, taking too much power, right? Okay. This whole nation is a holy and God is amongst us all. So why should you rise above God's congregation? So this was, Korach had to, the group, and especially the 250 Sanhedrin, they had to have a logical reason to come and argue. So they said, holy, right? We are all great. Why do we need to have that you are the leader and we are following you? We're all to have that Aaron be the Kohen God. We'll all be Kohen and Gedolah. Really, he was thinking about himself. But we'll all be Kohen. That was the argument. We'll all be Kohen and Gedolah. Right? Let us all be. Truth is, Moshe Rabbeinu, this was a setup already, because we know, again, we're going back to the story of Eldad and Medad with these two guys prophesizing. And what does Moshe Rabbeinu say? Let us all be prophets. Right? That's Moshe Rabbeinu's response. Moshe Rabbeinu says, I'll be jealous if the whole Jewish nation will be prophets. So Moshe Rabbeinu, that's what they didn't challenge Moshe Rabbeinu in the concept of prophecy. They challenged him in the aspect of Aaron. Why can't we all be Kohanim Gedolim? They didn't challenge why won't we all be prophets. Moshe Rabbeinu would have responded, Gesund to hate. Let us all be prophets. I have no problem with that. Why couldn't we all be Kohanim Gedolim? Why can't we all be Kohen Gadol? The responsibility, it's a job.
Yeah.
Kohen Gadol is a job. So why can't we all do the job? Let's all be Kohanim Gedolim. We'll all do the job. Whoever wants to be the job today, right? You'll do it today, I'll do it tomorrow. And we'll all be Kohanim Gedolim. Why not? Why does it need to be one Kohen Gadol? Why can't we all be Kohanim Gedolim? Why can't there be equality? Now, the truth is, this is a philosophical question. There's nothing wrong with the philosophical question. The question is, why Taka could there be? Why Taka is there only if you're the son of Aaron, you're a Kohen? Right. Well, why not? Let's have a school of Kohanim. And if you go to school, and I'll be the Kohen. Right? Why not? Why not? We're all Jews. Why make a difference? Like there was a concept of school for prophets. You went to a school. Prophecy. You went to a school. For prophecy, you went to a school.
Yeah.
And you learned how to be a prophet.
Where?
You're Shleim. There was not these days.
Or a tea
Huh?
or a tea leaf.
What was the name?
School of prophets. Prophecy came to an end. The Gemara said prophecy came to an end. So therefore the school closed down. But there is, there actually is a place in Yerushalayim, in the old city, you'll see there's a place that's called, so they say that here was a school of prophets. It's called Yeshivas HaNeviim, the school of prophets. In Israel, you'll find anybody, so you'll find the prophets also today. They say they went to the school of prophets. Okay, so important lesson. This is an important thing, machlekes, because we all like to argue. We're Jewish. We like to argue. So we all like to argue, right? That's life. As long as we can argue as long as I'm right.
Yeah.
So we all love to argue, and therefore this Parsha is important to us because we have to learn how to argue.
Yeah.
And therefore, you look in text number 3, the Gemara says, Rav said that one who is involved in a quarrel transgresses a negative precept. Really, the question is there a sin in the Torah to argue? Is it one of the 665 negative cries, thou shalt not argue? Okay, you're not arguing with God.
Yeah.
But that shall not argue. Where is there such a negative commandment? That you shall not argue. You're not to hate somebody. But why not argue? Why can't I argue? So the Rav says no. In the Torah, it says, in this week's Parsha, it says, one should not be like Korach in his congregation. So the Torah in Esrav says it should be one of the negative commandments. You shouldn't argue.
But isn't that what the
Stop arguing.
The two
Right, you should be like Korach's argument. So we have to learn how to argue. So if you argue like Hillel and Shammai, Gesundheit. But if you're going to argue like Korach, then your argument is wrong. So the question is, what is the right argument and what is the wrong argument? What is the argument that's a sin and what's the argument that's actually a mitzvah? Korach's argument was, can there be a better argument than unity? Right? That's why Korach was a big seller. And Moshe understood that it's an argument that is clothed in something negative.
Yeah.
It's not, it has this sheep garment, but it has the wolf's body. And it's an argument that is clothed in holiness, so seemingly in unity, but it's an argument that's going to bring to disunity. So therefore, really the litmus test is the argument going to bring to unity, or is the argument going to bring to disunity? And if you're fooling yourself to clothe this argument into an argument of unity, but it's you really the essence of the argument disunity, then your argument then it's an aveda. Then the argument, and walk away from such an argument. Walk away from an argument that even you're going to clothe it and you're going to express it that this is the holy thing, you're part of a great thing, but it's really to bring disunity. Walk away from such an argument. I think this is an important lesson today. The world that we live in, we need to walk away from the majority of all these arguments that are happening in the world today. We need to walk away. We have nothing to do with these arguments. We should have nothing to do with these arguments because it's bringing disunity. Just a coffee break. It's bringing disunity. Let's go back to Korach. Korach, seemingly, and that's why the Jewish people fell into this trap. He had an argument that was clothed in a spiritual concept. He said, let's have unity. Right? The Rebbe says in text number 7. How could one demand for unity among Jews result in dispute? How's it possible? He was demanding unity. He was demanding unity. He said, listen, we're all holy. I'm out for separate. I'm just the opposite. My platform is unity. Your is dissension. Your platform is separation. My platform is unity. Unity platform. Right. So how is it possible that a platform of unity, Korach, which is the platform of unity, should come about the opposite? And how could the dispute be so polarized that it becomes the prototype that every quarrel amongst Jews forever after? This is the lesson that we learned forever after, that we should not have such a kind of unity. We should not hide behind that banner of disunity, because this is not real unity. The truth is, if you look at everybody's argument in the world today, it's all that we are the unity. We are the platform of unity. Meanwhile, there's so much fighting going on, but we are the platform of unity because that's the best platform. We're going to say, we're the platform of disunity. Nobody's going to follow you. We're the platform that has the capability to unite the whole world. We have the capability to bring perfection to the whole world. We have the unity. Part of this platform. That's the first platform you should run from. Walk away from. How does Moshe Rabbeinu respond to this platform? How does Moshe Rabbeinu respond to this platform of unity? The Rebbe says Moshe Rabbeinu responds in the verse. Moshe Rabbeinu's response is as follows. In the morning, what does Moshe Rabbeinu tell Korach and his group? Vayidaber al Korach and Moshe Rabbeinu, verse number, text number 8:1, which is chapter 16, verse number 5. Vayidaber al Korach v'achal adosei leimer. And God, Moshe Rabbeinu tells Korach, boiker. Let's wait till the morning.
Sleep on
Let's sleep on it, right?
it. Yeah.
In the morning, and then God will show you who is holy, who is holy. Rashi says there's another interpretation to boiker. That's in text number 8b. Rashi says the meaning of it. Moshe says to Korach, God assigns boundaries to his world. You want unity? The Eibishter made morning and afternoon. Or one thing. There's morning and there's night. There's boundaries to the morning. There's boundaries to the night. Are you able to transform morning into evening? You decide, I want unity. Everything should be day. Or everything should be evening.
Yeah.
Well, I have one thing. No, the Eibishter said, I want morning. And I want evening. And I'm going to make it as the morning boundary and the evening boundary. Right? Doing so is impossible, as it would for you to undo this separation. As the verse says, it was evening and it was morning. And he separated it. Similarly, it says, Aaron was set apart to say, you want to separate, you want to bring unity into something that which the Eibishter made boundaries into. You cannot do that. God said there should be a Kohen, and there should be a Levi, and there should be Israel. You want to say that no, there should not be this concept. Just like you cannot change morning to evening and evening to morning, you cannot change a Kohen to a Jew, to a regular Jew, and a regular Jew to a Kohen.
Yeah.
That's it. You cannot do it because it's not humans that made this separation, this distinction. It's God that made this distinction. So Chassidus says there are three things in life, three basic principles. It's called Olam, the world, space, Shana, time, and Nefesh, soul. Shana, Nefesh. Space, time, and the humans, soul. Something? Just ask for it. Get it. Have a second pen? Okay. So Olam, Shana, Nefesh. Olam is space, the world. Shana is time. Nefesh. In the world, right? In the world, in all aspects of these three spaces, these three concepts, the Eibishter created difference, right? Created difference. The world, the Eibishter created Israel to be the holiest country in the world. In time, the Eibishter created Shabbos, should be the holiest day in the world, the holiest day. And then the Eibishter made the Jewish nation the holiest nation. Olam, Shana, Nefesh. Are you going to change it? Are you going to move Shabbos to Sunday? Or are you going to say that there's no Shabbos? Every day is equal. Every day is Shabbos. Are you going to say the whole world is Eretz Yisrael? They made holiness in these three concepts. See, ultimately in a human being, in Nefesh, so there's a in Pirkei Avos, he picks over here Pirkei Avos, the Mishnah in Pirkei Avos, in Avos chapter 5, verse number 1, it says, it's an interesting expression over there, it says, Ba'asara ma'amaris nivra elam, the Eibishter created the world in 10 utterances. The good. Why 10 utterances? Why couldn't he create it in one utterance? Right? Why did God create the world in 10 utterances? The Mishnah says, what does it teach us? For surely he could have created it in one utterance. This was in order to punish the wicked who destroyed the world that was created in 10 utterances, and to give good reward to the righteous who maintain the world was created in 10 utterances. Since if God would create the world with one utterance, there would be one concept. Abishta created multiplicity in the world. The world is a multi-purpose world. And there's so many differences and so many ways to transform, to affect, to elevate the world. And every person can acquire a different concept, right? So there's not one concept. If the Abishta created the world one concept, we all have to do the exact same thing. If any one of us would move out of that realm, we would not be part of the purpose of the world. The Abishta created the world in 10 utterances. Now pick where you're going to go. Pick in which situation you're going to be part to be the righteous of the world and not to be the chas v'shalom, the wicked, who also negate the world in 10 different kinds of ways, can negate the world in 10 different kinds of ways. The truth is, each one of those ways each mimer is a whole different part of the world, right? So the Abishta created the whole earth with one mimer. You have a whole world that was created out of one utterance, and there's so many different parts in this world itself. God created the world in so many different places. Imagine saying, like most people say, I only can be a religious Jew in Israel. Abishta created America too. He created every part of the world. So therefore, you can be a holy person in any part of the world. The world with one mimer, then the whole existence would have only one singular concept. And it would not give the capability for humans to be able to have many different avenues. Shivim panim l'Torah. There are 7 ways to look at things.
Free choice.
But more than that, it teaches us, the important what it teaches us this lesson is that we have to realize we are different.
Right. Other people have to.
Every person has their way of connecting to the Eibishter. Some person connects to the Eibishter through intellect, another person connects to the Eibishter through emotion, another person connects to the Eibishter through actions. We are different. There is concept of being able to understand that everybody has a different purpose in this world. Be something that unites us, but ultimately in the way we serve the Eibishter, I'm a man and you're a woman. We serve God differently. Therefore, Siddur says, that's why it says Asara Memaris. The Eibishter created a concept of multi-purpose situation. When Korach comes and says, we're all holy, and there's one concept over here, Moshe Rabbeinu says, no, there's not one concept over here. It's not. That's not the way the Eibishter created the world. You want to change creation? Hey, actually, Korach wanted to come to the concept of Mashiach. That's where there's going to be total concept of unity. That's why it's hard for us to understand. Rambam says, that there'll be oneness, a total oneness in the world. We're not holding by that right now. We're still trying to each one plunder through the world. Yeah. Each one trying to find himself in the world. And what's our avodah? Not that we tell the person that, oh, your service has no value. I'm talking about a person that's doing a service that's against the Torah. But of a person that's trying through his character and his understanding and his emotions to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu, say, know that you are not serving it correctly. You have to serve it my way. In a time when there is this concept of multiplicity in the world. The verse says you shall serve God with both your hearts, with your godly soul and your animalistic soul. Interesting. So in essence, the Torah says, going back to the Shema, the Torah says you should serve the Eibishter with your godly soul and your animalistic. That means that the Torah says, God says, I know you have an animalistic soul. You have multiplicity, you have duality in your life. You have a godly soul and you have an animalistic soul. You have desires for good and you have desires for bad. I know that. I created your animalistic. I created the duality. When Mashiach comes, you'll have only a godly soul. Okay, well, with Shem, that will happen hopefully today. But until then, I don't want you to say, I can't serve God with my animalistic soul. Get it? I'm a bad guy. I'm a bad person. I have an animalistic soul. Isn't that a proof that I'm a bad person? Basically, I'm going to give up. No, David says, the David says, I want you to love me, even as you have an animalistic soul. Because there's a purpose in that too. It's part of the service of God with your animalistic soul. Respect that. That's the first lesson in argument. If you lose respect, the argument cannot be won. Never, ever. This is so important because we see this throughout the world. That how do we fight? We get dirty. We start using derogatory words, right? Oh, you're nobody. I'll do it to Snasu. Why are you? Why are you? What is we getting into? You're big or small? I thought we're one. If we're one, the second we get personal, we start putting other people down. We lose respect. We can have an argument. But if I don't agree with you, you tell me I'm not a good person. I'm an evil person. You're egotist. You're looking for power. And how can we win this argument? How can we have this argument? This is going to be an argument that's only going to go south, because it's not an argument about purpose. It's an argument about victory. One has to be victorious in this situation. So I can hide myself behind godliness and say, "Oh, I'm fighting for God," and therefore I'm putting you down because I'm fighting for God. Putting you down because I have to make sure to put you down.
Make me up.
To make God up. No, it's all about God. Has no problem to handle arguments. No problem.
You don't want to mess with God.
Yeah, no problem. Again, that's a b'chol levavcha. Maybe I have no problem with your Yetzer Hara. I have a problem with your ego. When you think you're bigger than me. But I have no problem with your sin. I got no problem with that. You're a human being and you have your Yetzer Hara, you're going to fall through your taivas. We have taivas, we have desires, and you're going to fall through in your taivas. I can handle that. Yeah. Hashem says, I love you with my Yetzer Hara. That's what we're saying to God. Hashem, I love you, God, with my Yetzer Hara. I love you, my Yetzer Hara. The Eibush still loves me, even though I have a Yetzer Hara. You have an ill inclination. Conditional love. Unconditional love. So God says, I love you, whether you have a Yetzer Hara, whether you have even Avedis. I love you. I might not like the situation. I would hope that you can get rid of your evil sins. But I love you. The second you start talking, the second you lose respect, now you created a hate situation. You created Now, the beauty is that Moshe never gets personal. Moshe doesn't really surely get personal, but Moshe Rabbeinu stays the course. That's why it's a one-faced argument over here. Usually in a situation with normal people, you say something dirty to me, so I'm going to say something dirty to you. You write something negative about me, I'll write something negative about you. Moshe Rabbeinu never goes that avenue. It's something that's tzaddik. So Moshe Rabbeinu, as they throw schmutz at him, he just continues doing what he's doing. That's why in the Mishnah it says, don't be like Korach v'Adas. He's not fighting against anybody. Only a one-way fight over here. This Korach is fighting against Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu is not fighting against Korach.
Right.
We go on.
Right. Correct. We always have, but you have to keep it that way. You got to stay there.
Very hard.
Correct. You got to stay there.
Very hard.
You got to stay there. So the concept of respect, an argument, another very important thing in an argument is to take the other person's perspective. Not to say, oh, you have no space. You're a dummy. So your argument is irrelevant. No, there is a place for you in your argument.
But not with me.
With me, it is a place, but we have to come to maybe we have to work out a different conclusion. But there is a space. It's important. Then that's the way you're going to come to a common goal. That's the way you're going to come to it, ultimately, a common goal. By disrespecting the other person, by ignoring, saying he has no value in his argument, then it's only going to be, then the only way I can force it is by, I'm the dictator and it goes my way. I respect the other person. If I say, okay, I'm going to use the other person's argument, right? I'm going to integrate the other person's argument and make it my argument. By saying, actually, these two arguments maybe have a common goal. Maybe we can accomplish a common goal through both of these arguments. Moshe Rabbeinu said, night and day are not arguing. The day needs a night and day. Day is made up of night and day. Not night says a chutzpah is day, and day says a chutzpah is night. They actually help each other out. Baruch Hashem, this night we go to sleep, and we have a better day. In each one of them, they're not arguing. They're different, and there's boundaries to each one of them. They respect one another because they realize that together they create a common purpose of a complete day. Moshe Rabbeinu said, in essence, you're right, there's a Kohen Levi Yisrael. There is a Kohen Levi Yisrael. And there's seemingly different worlds, but actually, if they respect one another, and they say, let's work together,
Support.
then we create a beautiful nation. We create a common goal. That's why going back to Olam Shana Nefesh, you find again, the Mishnah says in text number 10, there are 10 grades of holiness in the world. The land of Israel, holier than all other lands. The cities that are walled are holier than the rest of Israel. In Israel, you have different levels of holiness. Their area in the wall of Jerusalem is holier than the other walled cities. The Temple Mount is even holier. The Chayil is the walkway around the Beis Hamikdash. There was like a fence, this fence between the courtyard outside. and the walls of the temple, there was a chel, like a small fence that surrounded, is holier than what's on the other side of this fence. There was a sign there that said, don't pass this, if you're impure, don't pass this chel. The court of the woman is holier than what's beyond the chel. The court of the Israelites, as you travel towards the base, the actual temple, went holier and holier. That's why you saw there was steps from the chel to the temple. There were steps from the temple, from the courtyard of the woman to the doors of the courtyard of the men, and then there were steps from the courtyard of the men to the courtyard of the Kohanim, and then there were steps from the courtyard of the Kohanim to the steps into the Beis Hamikdash itself. It went higher and higher and higher. The court of Israelites was even higher, holier. The court of the people was even holier. The area between the porch and the ulam and the altar was even holier. The heichal was even holier. The Holy of Holies was the holiest of them all. Only when the high priest Yom Kippur, the time of the service, may enter it. So you see that there is the Eibishter created in the world, in Olam, in this physical world, holier and holier and holier. Women's courtyard.
What?
Women's courtyard. It was called the women's courtyard. It was not even the name. The women's courtyard. The women's courtyard was the first part of the Beis Hamikdash. I don't have a picture of it. The first part of the Beis Hamikdash was the women's courtyard. In that, there were 4 buildings that were different.
Okay.
So that was called the women's courtyard. Actually, the women's courtyard was not really a women's courtyard,
Right.
because the women's courtyard was on top.
Yeah.
But that was the name.
Well, on top of what?
The women's courtyard, actually, they had a balcony. The women were on a balcony. But that was the name, was given name Ezras Nashim. It was actually not the women's courtyard. That was the name. So Ezra, you went from outside the temple into Ezras Nashim, which is not Ezras Nashim really, but that was the name. And from there you walked up another 15 steps to the doors of Nicanor, which opened up to the courtyard of which is called Ezras, as it's so the courtyard of the regular Jew. From there you made a step to the courtyard of the Kohanim. From there you made another, then it was in front of the altar. Then you made another 15 steps to the courtyard, to the ulam, to the Beis Hamikdash, and etc. We see that the Eibishter made differences in space. There is a difference. There is a difference, one and the other. That's why did the Eibishter make this whole levels? That a person would realize that in this world, in space, we can go higher and higher. In this physical world, we can have a journey that journeys us to higher and higher, to become more, to make the space more greater and greater. And then you have in time, the day of Shabbos, right? In time, the Eibishter said that the Shabbos is a holier day. Well, what's the beauty of the Shabbos? As it says in text number 11, what does the Zohar say? Min name is Baruch Kol Yamin. All the days of the week are blessed from Shabbos. It just says that the Shabbos blesses the entire week. So the Shabbos is not just a holy time as for itself. No, it blesses the entire week. And then you have humans, the concept of humanity, that we have a Kohen and Levi in Israel. And how do we bring unity in not only in time and space? How do we bring this concept that even though there's the highest, the spirit in space, there is levels that bring holiness in time. Shabbos brings holiness. Yom Tov. And you have in humans. So the Rebbe writes in text number 12, the highest level of peace is, as the Alter Rebbe explained regarding the Jewish people, namely that we are all need we all need each other and our one body. We need each other. Every body has its own particular characteristics and advantage that it contributes to the greater good of the rest of the body. Right? The head doesn't say, I'm more important. Who needs legs? Chas v'shalom. The head understands that it cannot get around anywhere without its legs. And it needs its legs to be healthy and well, even though the head is the head and the legs are the legs, the feet are the feet. So is it with the greater body of the Jewish people. In the Alter Rebbe's words, this is analogous to a human body from the head to the toe. The feet are admittedly the end of the body, and the head is the top and supreme part of the body, and yet, in some respects, the feet have an edge over the head. Again, you can't get anywhere without your feet.
Yeah, but the head controls the feet.
It might control it, but without feet, there's nothing to control.
Yeah.
So therefore, the head needs the feet. And therefore, it's important to the head that the feet are healthy. And so far, the head is unable to go anywhere without the feet. The feet also keep the body, along with the head, upright. Dynamic that demonstrates the interconnectedness of all limb is a fact when the head hurts, a shot to the foot can cure and bring healing. Urges is that the head is incomplete without the feet. And chas v'shalom, person that's missing a foot, he's considered disabled. That means he's a disabled. His head and everything is disabled. And so is it with the Jewish people. We have one body. I'm sorry, I'm sneezing something. We have one body. That's the way it is. So what Korach's mistake was he wanted to say that no, there's no difference between the head and the foot. No, there is a difference between the head and the foot. Between the head and the foot, we all can agree with that. And we cannot mix the head to the foot, and we cannot diminish the head's value to the foot or vice versa. Because if you look at the whole body together, there's an importance for the head, there's an importance for the foot, even though we all know that the head is more important in a way than the foot. Without the foot, you can live. Without the head, you're not living. We find all these things. These three things, again, in time, space, and time and space in humans, all these things need to have, we find this concept in all levels. Imagine a world without Shabbos. It will be not a complete world. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So important. A day you could say, oh, we can live without. Every place is important. In Pirkei Avos, nothing doesn't have its place. Everything in the world has its place. Everybody has its place. Also to human being. Everybody needs to have their respect, their place, and their partnership, their unique, their involvement, their worth. Not to say, oh, we're all. No, you as an individual have a worth. Your thought, your way of thinking has space, has a place, is worth something. You with me?
Yeah.
I was like, okay, everybody, we're gonna have 5,000 different opinions. That's why Moshe Rabbeinu continues. It says, because everybody has a place, but you got to remember, we have one God, we have one Torah, we have one law, we have one altar, and we have one Kohen Gadol. We have something that unites us. We have something that brings us unity. Even though I respect you and you have your place, but as long as we are all here for one God. What create another God? And your thoughts are totally out of whack. If you want to enhance the Torah, we have one Torah. Look at the whole Gemara. We can argue and argue. They argue to enhance the Torah. We're not arguing to go against the Torah. We want to have one law. We have one altar, one service. We all serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu, whether it's through different kinds of ways of serving, but we all servicing God. And as long as we have a Beis Hamikdash, we have one Kohen Gadol. We have one high priest who God has chosen as this high priest. And that's what, in essence, is the difference between Korach and Moshe Rabbeinu's fight. Korach, his unity was that there's no concept of everybody has their own philosophy. Everybody has their own understanding. Everybody should have one. There should be one concept. There should be one concept in everything. We're all been chosen by God. We all have one concept. Everybody should fit into the line of one philosophy, and that's it. That's going to be when Mashiach comes. When there's going to be a revelation of God in the world, we'll all have one. Everybody will fall into one understanding, one comprehension, one way. There won't be Ashkenazim, Sephardim, this guy. We'll all do it one way, and that's it.
Yeah.
So everybody says, well, Chabad will do Chabad way. We'll wait for Mashiach to come, and then we'll see.
Yeah.
But that's it. One service, which is unbelievable if you think about it.
Yeah.
But Moshe Rabbeinu said, now we're not there right now. Right now, we need to see the beauty in each, as long as we are all, the Kohen is servicing God, and the Levi is servicing God, and the Yisrael is servicing God. And we're all standing in the Beis Hamikdash, and we're all in front of this Mizbeach, and we're all in front of the Mishkan. Then the beauty of different people doing things, and different people bringing their talents and their understanding and their comprehension. That's the beauty of Yiddishkeit. That is true peace. That is when you don't say the other person's irrelevant, and the only way there's peace if you follow me, but you say the other person's relevant. Try to incorporate him into the program. Let's try to make him important into the system. Not that he has to be one with me. No, he can be different. He can be the Levi. He can be the Yisrael. He can be the head. He can be the foot. He can be the rabbi. He can be the gabbai. He could be the man, he could be the woman, she could be the woman. Let's try to bring all these beautiful things as they stand individuals, to bring them to peace together. That is true unity. Like the bringing together in one day, night and day. Complete this to coming to the punishment. That's how we end it. coming to their punishment, right? Because that was the beginning of the class.
Yeah.
The Rebbe writes in text number 14, we can now understand the connection between the punishment of being burnt and swallowed alive and the crime of division. Collectively, these two punishments demonstrate the consequence of division, departure and descent. When something burns, the more refined matter of the item is consumed and goes up. The other element, which cannot be consumed and taken on high, are destroyed through the punishment of being plunged into the ground. So what happens? Ashes, right? So there's one level of punishment where a person taka thinks that he is going to do it. He has like the Sanhedrin. These were great sages. And they didn't want to become Kohanim either. They were not Kohanim, they were regular Jews. But they were taka arguing as a philosophical concept. And therefore, the Eibushter separated the concept. He separated, he burnt them, so their soul went to heaven and their body went to the earth. And Dasam Vaviram, the whole thing went down to the earth. Because the outer and their inner were totally corrupt. Korach's philosophy was corrupt. That was the problem. Korach and Dasam Vaviram, their philosophy was corrupt. They created a philosophy of unity that their real purpose was total, would bring total disaster. Because if everybody's going to be one in a multiple environment, it doesn't work. And that's why throughout in other religions, it's one way or the highway. Then bingo, you were excommunicated or burnt at the stake. And then nobody can dissent, you can't disagree, you cannot argue, you're irrelevant to the picture. You just follow and that's it.
Yep.
That's what Korach wanted. How do you take different people and bring them in? Is I'm gonna put the rules down and that's it.
You don't agree?
A total one, I don't know what they're called, socialist, communist kind of thing.
Yeah.
Everybody has to think the same.
I fell.
If not, you're dead.
The wall fell.
This reason, the element of swallowing is featured prominently. This is the reference to the holy energies that exist in the lower levels that become susceptible to being swallowed into negative forces when the boundaries come down. That's what happened. What happened with Korach, that his philosophy was broken. His spiritual entity became so part of his corrupt understanding that the spiritual became corrupted too, and that's why everything went down. His body and his soul and everything was swallowed up. While rabbis were consumed. So like the sons of Aaron, where their bodies were separated from their souls. The souls were consumed by God. So to these 250, and that's why we don't mention their names. It's interesting. That Korach and Dasam Vaviram, we mentioned their names. We don't mention the 250 heads of the Sanhedrin. That means we don't know who they are. All arguments in the Talmud, where they came from, and who exactly, which tribe they were from, etc. But they're not mentioned. And the punishment is like the punishment because they did have their spirituality was more in sync with this concept, but they were physically in the wrong, and they brought a zara. But he was so corrupt that it was corrupt in the physical, it was corrupt in the spiritual, and therefore both the spiritual, both his body and both his soul went down alive in the grave. And that's the sadness. And what the truth is, the lesson really is that sometimes our arguments drag down soul and body. Arguments, that's why it's a sin. If separate between your soul and your body when you have an argument, any argument, what's happening in the world or whatever. But most arguments drag us down soul and body. We get so involved in an argument that we push it, don't have time for anything anymore. Suddenly we can daven, we can't learn. We're so involved in an argument that drags us down like Korach, brings down soul and body. And that would show you that the argument is not a good argument right away. If you want to argue and keep the separation, that your spiritual entity, your soul is never affected by this argument, gesund to hate argue. But when this argument is a Parsha draining you, soul and body, now you know that basically this is a terrible argument. This is a no-gain argument. It's just gaiva, and it's gaiva, it's ego. It's just, you really want to it's an argument with yourself, and you push it, simply draining your body and soul to the grave. And therefore, the best thing would be is walk away from such an argument. And the truth is, it's interesting, in the beginning of the Parsha, it says that there was 4 people. It was Korach, Dasam Aviran, and Oin ben Peles. Suddenly, Oin ben Peles disappears of the argument. And that was because of his wife. His wife convinced him to get out of the argument. There's not going to be any gain out of this argument. Get out of this argument. There's no win in this argument. You're only going to drain your existence from the argument. She saved him. She saved Oin ben Peles, his wife, saved him. And that's why it says, Chachma Sisa, the Oin ben Peles' wife was smart and understood that this is an argument that you're going to hide it, you're going to put spirit, you're going to create the spiritual thing, you're fighting for God, you're fighting. Stick away from this argument. There's no gain out of this argument. You're going to drag yourself down into because this argument is disrespectful. It's not realizing the importance of somebody else. They don't even want to hear Moshe Rabbeinu's argument. They don't want to hear even the other opinion. It's not a good argument. It's a self. Baruch Hashem, he listened to his wife. He was saved by his wife, and he survived this whole situation. And I think it's a great lesson from the Rebbe. What means what means we should really think about not to be like Korach, how to stick away from arguments, even though we like to argue. How to stick away from arguments, how to ultimately survive an argument, or really how to really argue. And arguments should be, because that's what makes us human. Always should be an argument that I want to hear the other person's argument. That should be an argument. I want to hear your argument. That's the beauty of a Gemara argument. Because Hillel wants to hear Shammai, and Shammai wants to hear Hillel. We need to hear each other. The truth is, without you arguing with me, how do I know what I'm saying? It's true. When you argue with me, that's what the sages say. I've learned a lot from my teachers, and I've learned from my colleagues, but I've learned from my students more because they argued with me. You have professors today in college, they don't like when you argue with them. You're going to get an F. But in yeshivas, the teacher wants you to argue with him. He wants you to argue with him because that's the way he can explain a subject and ultimately come to its right conclusion. Is through the argument of somebody else. It's through hearing another person's opinion. And maybe my opinion is wrong, or maybe my opinion needs to be tweaked a little bit, and maybe my opinion needs to be developed. And maybe we can come to a greater understanding at the end through your opinion and my opinion. Because we're not fighting personal. My opinion is for God. So if I'm trying to be a better person, I'm trying to be a better world, I'm trying to be a better Jew, I'm trying to understand this Talmud better, and maybe through your opinion, we'll actually understand it much better. Come together because we're both fighting for the opinion of God. Like it says in all the arguments of Talmud, they always loved each other. Their arguments never made them hate each other. Actually made them love each other more. By understanding you, by me understanding you, by you understanding me, by me making you better, by you making me better, we actually become better. We become better. We become better. It says in marriage, he's a connector. The Abishta gave you somebody who's your helper, who's against you.
Yeah.
Marry somebody like yourself. You're in trouble. You got to marry somebody that's going to challenge you. It's going to make you better. Somebody's going to tell you that if you want a yes person, then right. It's a knei l'chachava, acquire a good friend, a friend that can tell you you're doing something bad. If you want friends that only can tell you yes, 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 you'll never be a better person. You want a person that tells you, my friend, I'm your friend. I'm telling you, you're doing something wrong. Don't do what you're doing. Change it. Do it a different way. That's what's peace. Peace is not by making your enemy. You can do. There's two ways of having peace with your enemy: by destroying your enemy, or by making your enemy your friend.
Yeah.
That is true peace. You have to have peace. Not that I try to overpower you or diminish you. No, we have peace there because I need you. I want to hear what you have to say. Because your thoughts and your understanding will enhance the subject. You're only going to listen to me. Be boring. So I want to wish you all a great day. Beautiful Sikh of the Rebbe.
Yeah.
We are going to take a break for next 2 weeks. We're not going to have the class.
The Sunday class.
Yeah, so next 2 weeks is not going to be Sunday class and the Thursday class for next 2 weeks. And then we will come back. Yeah, the Rebbe Kamer is going to do the chitas, and we will come back in Mid-Shem on the week of the 17th. I'll be back on the 17th, and we'll have that. Then the third. We're not going to have a Sunday class because that's a fast day also,
Oh.
Shivas V'Tammuz. But we'll have the Thursday class of the week of the 17th.
I'll be in this book.
And will be that will be the new book. The 17th, the week of the 17th will be the new book. I wish you all a great day. Have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful Shabbos. God bless you all.